My 32M girlfriend's 33F ex showed up at the front door and it didn't go as expected. I'm mostly writing this to vent, but any advice is welcome. And #X200B. I have been with my girlfriend for only 6 months. We met on Bumble, and from the day after we first met, we spent every day together for the next 6 months except for a few. We traveled the US in an RV trip, had each other at family gatherings, went on trips. We shared some interests and could talk for hours and make each other laugh. Our sex life was really great too, and we made love often like people in love do. On our first date, we met at a cool bar, and I noticed she didn't order an alcoholic drink, so I didn't either. She said she didn't drink, which I am fine with. I would later come to find that she was an alcoholic. She would sometimes drink during the day while working, and then too much at night. This only happened 1 or 2 occasions. When it happened, she said some terrible things and the next morning would apologize. I told her that I would help her in any way I can. She went to AA meetings and meetings with a therapist, and I went to meetings for spouses of people in AA. I got some books too. She really appreciated this. It seemed like things were great. There were the occasional arguments, but we always seemed to resolve them. Occasionally, her ex-boyfriend would text her. This is a relationship from a year ago. He would say things like, "I have made a huge mistake," and, "You are the love of my life." My girlfriend and I didn't like talking about each other's exes, but as the frequency of texts came, the more we had to talk about it. This would go on for weeks, and I would sometimes ask my girlfriend, "Hey, did you hear anything from your ex recently?" And she would say, "Well, yes, actually, he texted me a few days ago saying he really wants to see me." When I asked if I could see the conversation with her ex on her phone, she said no. I was asking to see the text that she was just telling me about, so I can get a more accurate idea of what it was, and she refused to let me see the phone, shifting the blame on me for not letting her use my work computer or laptop or something like that. I said she can use whatever she wants, and she can see my phone right now if she wants. She remained angry and didn't let me see. That was a red flag. I decided to believe that she did have some personal conversation with her ex that she didn't want me to see. They had been together for 4 years, so I tried to understand and move on. We agreed to block the ex on the phone. The ex lived halfway across the US, by the way. The ex found other ways to contact my girlfriend, like using his friends' phones, emailing her. What angered me the most was that he would Uber Eats her random things all the time, because he knew her address. She continued to block the phones and asked the ex to stop contacting her. Her ex got a message through somehow saying, "If you don't respond then I'm going to fly there and show up at the door." My girlfriend said, "Please don't do that, do not come here." Well, last week my girlfriend and I both started new jobs. We were going to be making more money than we ever had and were both excited. We shopped for apartments and talked about all the things we want to do in the future. My second day at my new job I get a text from my girlfriend. "He's here." We had talked hypothetically on what to do in this situation a million times. The first thing was to not open the door. Her ex is very manipulative and took advantage of her for years. I thought that if he gets his foot in the door somehow, he will convince my girlfriend that all he wants to do is talk for closure, and she might somehow let him in. She let him in. She texted me while I was at work and said, "He's here. He's sleeping." All we did was hug. My heart sank. I was in an important meeting on my second day, and felt like I was going to explode. I told them I had a family emergency and had to leave. I called my girlfriend and asked what the hell was going on, after all that we talked about. She said she didn't know. I can tell that she had been drinking, which made this whole situation even worse. I showed up at her apartment and she was standing out in the parking garage. She got in my car. I asked her what the fuck was going on. Her ex was upstairs in her apartment. She said her ex just wanted to talk for closure. I asked her why she didn't follow the plan of not opening the door. She said, "I don't understand." "Okay, we need to get this person out of your apartment. Do you want me to go up there? I can also call a police officer to kick him out." She was against calling the police. She sat in my car and called her ex and asked him to leave. She asked him to please just leave and go home. She screamed it on the phone. "Get the hell out of my apartment." The conversation went on about how she owed her ex at least this for traveling all this way. She said that was bullshit. But, as the conversation went on, there was less anger. He was manipulating her like he did in their relationship. He was making her feel like she's to blame for all this for not at least giving him some type of closure. The conversation ended with her saying, "Okay," and hanging up. I asked her what was going on. Is he leaving? She said, no. He just wants to talk. I told her that he needs to leave and the fact that he's gotten this far is outrageous. I said I would call the police, but I need her to be on my side that this man needs to be kicked out of the apartment. She didn't agree, and wanted to hear him out. She told me she wanted to know why she wasn't good enough for him. This broke my heart entirely. 1. Because she thought she wasn't good enough, and she thought this because of her ex's manipulative ways. 2. Because I knew if she walked into that conversation with that mindset, of not being good enough, it would set up her ex to use his manipulation tactics and reassure her that she is good, and that things will be great if they just get back together. I told her that she needs to choose right now. Me or him. She said she chooses me and that she loves me. Now, keep in mind she has had a bit to drink today, I could tell, but she wasn't drunk. She said she chooses me but she does want to hear him out. She began belittling me in ways she only did while she drank. They texted back and forth, while we sat in the car. I asked to see the phone. She swiped and deleted messages. My heart sank again. At the end of our argument she said, oh yeah. I have been texting him more than I've told you about. I told her to get out of my car, and she immediately did, and slammed the door. I drove home to my apartment, and she walked up to her apartment, where her ex was. Only moments earlier she was saying she loved me and chooses me, and the next she's walking up to her ex. She said she felt like she was in a dream. Turns out the ex bought some plane tickets and showed them to her. He professed his love for her, and told her all about how things will be back to normal if they get back together, and that they were meant for each other. Her ex has a lot of money, doesn't have to work. I'm sure he told her about the amazing life they would have together, told her that they don't need to work and that he would pay for an amazing life together. I would text her and asked her what was going on. She said she didn't understand, and that she was sorry. What hurts the most seeing this manipulator take control of her. He has her in a state of not feeling good enough, and makes her think that she needs him and would crumble without him. And #X200B. Update. And #X200B. The reasoning she gave for wanting to speak to her ex was that they were together for 4 years, and he is a friend to her. She said she wants to give him the ability to speak so they can get closure. One other thing to note was that when we were together, 99% of the time there was no drinking, and the relationship was really great. When we would be away from each other, I would find that she drank again. I haven't seen her since that night, less than a week ago. I suspect that the boyfriend is just staying at her apartment, and they will leave at the end of the month when the lease is up. She is not a complete fuck-up. She has a great job, is charismatic, smart, funny. She does have the alcohol problem and a troubled past. I think the ex-boyfriend brought her alcohol the day this went down, which makes him more of a scumbag. I know that they used to deal drugs, so who knows if that's being brought into the picture as well. I have come to realize that I am the one being manipulated here. I'm not going to let her back into my life, as hard as that is. We had so much good time, but I can't put myself through this again. Thank you all for the comments. You are done. She is drinking and vulnerable. You should not have bothered after she decided to let her stalker ex-boyfriend in instead of calling the police. The only advice is, don't even respond or open the door when your loser ex-girlfriend tries to get you back. The warning signs whether you ignored them, best to move on. Kinda sounds like she's the manipulator. That's way too much drama for any relationship, much less one that is only 6 mo. old. Your best bet is to end it and find someone new who isn't an alcoholic, and b, still weirdly involved with her ex. You've got to let go of the anger. Just wash your hands of the situation and never look back. This one is a lost case. There's nothing you can do to help her, so just help yourself. Jealousy regarding wife's good-looking male friend ruining my relationship with wife. The friend happens to be a good looker and very popular in my wife's brother's circle, where she often hangs out. She has never shown anything more than friendly behavior to him, however. They do text and ask advice from each other. So, whenever we come across him, he behaves in a manner wherein he acts like he's a big brother to her, and I feel real insecure. Him, being a good looker, makes me more nervous around him. I do feel she realizes that I'm insecure, but doesn't really address the problem. She sees this more like the male ego, because she tends to think it's a joke. I do feel she realizes that I'm insecure, but doesn't really address the problem. That's because she is addressing it by not showing anything more than friendly behavior, and it's your problem. There is nothing to suggest she is enamored in any way with this guy, nor him to her. Even their communication seems above board. You know about the communication and you know what they talk about. How could she address this better for you? Why would it be her place to address it better? What has your wife done to earn such distrust? From what you've said, this sounds like a you problem. Maybe take the initiative to befriend the guy and spend some time getting to know him? It'll be a lot easier to be comfortable with him interacting with your wife if he's your friend too, rather than just hers. Have any of you ever been dumped for a twin flame? If you've seen my story, you know I'm getting divorced because my wife is infatuated with a Facebook guy who she calls her twin flame, who she flew out of state to cheat on me with. She met him via Facebook in August on the phone and went there in September. It ruined our 8 years together. As sad as I am to say, I hope whatever the hell they have together crashes and burns and goes straight to hell. Do these things last? Have any of you all had this happen? What's the likelihood of it stopping? I am not gonna be with her anymore, but I can't help to hear that one day it self-destructs. For some reason, and maybe y'all can help me with this, she tried convincing me on the phone that she doesn't have any boyfriends, but her public Instagram says otherwise. Why does she want me to think otherwise? There's sex and kissing and in love posts about twin flames all over there. And Destiny quotes about twin flames. Please tell me this nonsense one day will crash and burn. She was willing to throw away our marriage, her son's dad, and everything we ever built together over this. Mate, she's a fucking bellend. Block her on everything and live your life as if this waste of oxygen doesn't exist. Well, statistically most second marriages fail, and it being long distance will just add to that possibility. I understand the desire, but you need to focus on you and your child right now. There's no such thing as a soulmate or a twin flame, that's nonsense. I'd bet a house payment that whatever she's into is going to end disastrously. Think about it. She's with someone who is either immature enough to believe this shit or manipulative enough to convince her that he is. And she's the type of person to fly across the country to cheat on her husband based on this nonsense. A relationship is only as healthy as the people in it. Ultimately, it doesn't matter, though. Stop torturing yourself. Why are you looking at her social media posts? Just cut her ass off and focus on getting through this divorce. It's time to take care of you. Fuck what she's doing. Separated from wife, she wants to reconcile and I'm unsure, need advice. Me, 40SM, and wife, 40SF, have been separated for a year. There was tension in the marriage and we drifted apart. She wanted the separation, and wanted to try dating other people. She found a nice man and they've been dating steady. I dated around and have just finally found someone that I really like and am compatible with. Coincidentally, now my wife wants to reconcile and has apologized for all the issues, and is promising to be a perfect partner if we get back together. She's left the decision to me on whether to continue with this woman I'm dating or take her back. Help please if you have advice. So she just so happens to want to try to reconcile as soon as you find someone you're compatible with? Man, I don't know about you but I'm smelling something fishy. Is promising to be a perfect partner if we get back together. Yeah, for about a week. Do not reconcile. She wants to go back to her safety net. Most likely things are not working out with her playtoy and she misses your security as well as how much you loved her. She does not want you to have fun with other people and that is the reason she is trying to close the marriage. Should you get back with her, I predict another separation when a new playtoy comes along. Fuck her. She wanted separation, she can have it. You need to think about yourself here and that person you met.